Okay, so I will speak to myself in third person. Hope you don't find it weird or anything. So when Mare was 7, his wish was to play professional sports on a world-class level. His journey was not straightforward, and since he played in 4 countries, got offered the honorary citizenship to play for the Austrian national team at the European Championship 2010, and was one of the top players in the Champions League. After his career, he took that dedication and started his new career as an entrepreneur, building and selling 2 e-commerce businesses and helping a venture-backed digital agency to go from 12 to 55 people. Now he owns and operates his own digital marketing agency with a focus on e-commerce and online lead generation. In his free time, he focuses on his family with 2 little children, Nicholas and Mara, and still loves to do sport. It keeps him sharp. Okay, awesome. So the topic of my presentation today is your SEO agency telling you the whole truth about your SEO revenue potential? Hi, I'm Mare Hojc and the founder and CEO of AN Digital. So, do you want to win any SEO client? Show them the money. This is the agenda for today, so we will talk about the old way versus the new way of calculating the revenue potential, about zero-click searches, how Google owns commercial intent, long tail, and honesty is the best policy. Let's go. So the old way versus the new way of calculating revenue potential from SEO. Systrix is a tool here in Germany, very popular, and they published a study they did on this using 80 million keywords and billions of search results in July 2020. So it's really very recent, and that's why we found it really fascinating and used it as a basis for this presentation and for the way we now calculate SEO revenue potential for our clients. So they were surprised, and I guess you are probably also going to be surprised any moment now to see how the SERPs have changed based on user intent and how Google is changing the way people find things, and consequently how we can monetize our websites. So, the old versus the new revenue potential formula. The old revenue potential formula was straightforward. You could use the average CTR because the Google search results looked very similar, at least. They weren't so heterogeneous and so different and dynamic. But the SERPs today look quite different. So it's the user search intent that influences the SERP layout, and that massively changes the CTR percentage, so the click rate. According to this study, the CTR, this was a mobile study, I have to add that, because most studies are done for desktop, and since Google searches Google mobile searches are growing and are overreaching desktop at the moment and will just continue to grow. I think this is a very relevant study because it looks at the mobile search results. And we can see that the CTR can vary dramatically from 13.7% for position 1, 13% for position 1 when Google Shopping ads are present, to 46.9% for SERPs with site links. So this is the old way how we used to calculate the revenue. This is actually one of our clients. We took the average CTR, we calculated the search volume for the keyword set, and how many monthly clients. We looked at the analytics data and saw the conversion rate, and the client told us the lifetime customer value, which is how much money does a client leave with the company in his lifetime. And this was the calculation, and the client seemed quite happy with it. Now we will see why this calculation is no longer relevant. So there are three key factors that influence organic traffic. The three key factors are search volume, SERP layout based on user intent, and percentage of zero-click searches. And we will look at each one of them in the next couple of slides. So the reality is that more than half of Google searches end up with 0 clicks and generate 0 traffic. That would probably surprise many, that when we look at search volume in any tool, that is basically nowadays more a vanity metric than a real metric. That's why Cody mentioned before in his presentation that they usually look at the traffic a keyword generates, because that is much more relevant than the search volume. This is from Johannes Beuys, from the founder of Systrix, from the study that we are talking about. As we said, almost 50% of users click on the first results with site links, or only 13% when it's Google Shopping. So that makes a massive difference for potential SEO success. The first question is, when is Google making your website irrelevant? So if no one clicks on your website, if you are trying to rank for something that Google wants to answer in the SERPs, you are going to lose. And as we know, Google has a new way of distinguishing how users search, the search intent, and there is the no, which is like 2/3 of all search queries are no intent, but they have two categories of no intent. It's the no complex or no, and the no simple intent. And the no simple are basically just simple questions. How old is the president? What is the time? And stuff like that. Google no longer serves a website link, but he answers the query directly in the SERPs. So trying to rank for that is not an efficient way to try to monetize your website. So how does Google do that? He introduced things like featured snippets or position 0, Google Apps, knowledge panel, images, news, recipes, locations, location boxes, and Google Maps and video boxes. And now let us see how those SERP integrations influence the click rate and the SEO potential. So first, let's see the average organic CTR versus organic CTR with SERPs with featured snippets. So to the left, you can see what a featured snippet is for those that are not sure what it is. As we can see, the position 1, due to the featured snippet, loses 17.5% of all clicks. But positions 2 to 4 actually gain 30.5% of clicks. And the rest lose a little bit, but not significant. Then we have average versus organic CTR with SERPs with Google Apps. So Google Apps are like Google Calculator, when you try to calculate something directly in Google, or Google Translate, as we can see in the slide. And we can see what a drastic impact this has on the first on organic position 1. It loses almost 43% of clicks. But again, positions 2 to 4 actually gain up to 20% of clicks compared to the average. Now, knowledge panel. How does knowledge panel influence the click rates? Compared to the average, position 1 loses over 41% of clicks. Position 2 loses almost 16% of clicks, but positions 3 to 10 actually gain 25% of clicks compared to the average. First tip, use your website to answer questions in depth. So we see that no simple queries that basically have a simple answer that Google can answer in the SERPs, Google will answer in the SERPs and will make your website irrelevant. However, if for complex queries where it is difficult to answer in the SERPs, Google will still love to use your website. And since almost two-thirds of all queries are related to no searches, this is one of the most important takeaways for everyone who has a website to focus on his topics and really see for which keywords, define for which keywords they should rank, and really go into the topic in depth, better than his competition, and try to cover all the questions. There is a great book, They Ask You Answer, about inbound marketing and content marketing. This is the principle that everyone should try to follow. Just see what the people are asking about the topic and try to really exhaustively cover it. Yeah. So then we move on with comparison with video boxes. Video boxes are a small anomaly because they actually increase the position 1 click rate. So the position 1 actually gains 14% more clicks, but the other positions remain roughly the same. Then we have images, news, and recipes. And here we see that top 5 positions lose the most CTR when images are inserted. So images really influence the top 5 positions in a negative way. But position 2 actually increases its CTR when recipes are in the SERPs. So we can see this were really 80 million keywords and billions of search queries, and these are the averages. Yeah? So now we have local search results. We know the local snack pack. How do local search results influence the organic positions? So position 1 loses over 37% of all clicks, and all other positions lose up to 17% of clicks. So when local searches are, when people search locally, they usually they like to use the local snack pack. They don't. All positions suffer. All organic positions suffer when someone searches locally. So, does Google Maps steal organic traffic? It certainly does. And the core question is, how often does Google Maps actually appear, and how traffic relevant are these integrations? We see that when they appear, they are usually used. This is a research for the DACH region, for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. But I think we would find similar results around the world. So in the future, we will also see increasing relevance from on-SERP SEO, that is the optimization of content in the boxes and integration. Because, of course, for these no simple queries, it is still not irrelevant to be found. And we can and should optimize, if this is relevant, of course, for our brand, for our funnel. We should definitely optimize to get into those integrations in the SERPs to just get more exposure and brand equity. So, second point, commercial intent keywords today only have 51% organic clicks. Only 51% are organic if the intent is commercial. So we can clearly see where Google is headed with this. It's his bread and butter, of course, and he really is trying to monetize the commercial intent keywords, since the SEO position 1 with Google Shopping only has 13% click rate. As we can remember, the average is 28.5 and the high is 46.9. So the to intent is most heavily monetized by Google. When a user wants to buy, download, install, or do something like that, Google makes sure that the SERPs are dominated by ads, by using, of course, mostly Google Shopping and Google Ads. Here's an example of what happens to the click rate when Google Shopping results appear in the SERPs. Compared to the average, position 1 loses almost 52% of clicks compared to the average click-through rate. And all other positions also suffer because they lose between 15 to 50% of all clicks. So we can see the commercial intent keywords are, of course, the keywords with a higher conversion rate, but we have to be objective with what kind of SEO, when we calculate the SEO revenue potential, what kind of revenue potential it has. It has a higher conversion rate, but a lower click rate. Okay, this is Google Ads, a little bit better. Here, position 1 loses almost 34% of clicks, position 2 loses almost 44% of clicks, and all other positions lose between 28 to 42% of clicks. So just like with Google Shopping, all the organic positions on page 1 lose a lot. But interestingly enough, the position 1 loses less than with, you can see here with Google Shopping, it really loses 52% of clicks. And with Google Ads, it loses 34%. So, the takeaway: Google will increasingly monetize commercial keywords. So Google displays only paid advertising only paid advertising in the visible area of the smartphone. So if you lose for a commercial intent keyword, a do keyword, then you will on your phone, then you will only see paid ads. In addition to AdWords, Google has become, of course, inventive. It's Google Shopping, app downloads, flight comparison, credit information, and more. And we can see here that the more ads in the less commercial SERPs do not lead to the same amount of traffic, and thus clicks and therefore revenue for Google. So Google will have to want to get an even bigger share of the pie from more commercially relevant keywords, which will make SEO even harder for those keywords. The more you work into the long tail, the greater the proportion of purely organic SERPs. This is where SEO is really strong. So this is the comparison between the average and the SERPs with long tail keywords. As we can see, this organic search, this is the old Google, so to speak, where you put something in and just 10 blue links came up, and no other distracting elements like the SERPs we looked at before. So all of the positions have above average click-through rate, and position 1 receives 20% more clicks for long tail keywords. So here SEO really has great value. And of course, with the website visit intent, so if a user looks for a website he knows, this really increases the click-through rate for position 1, because usually the brand or the brand he's looking for comes in first, and it often comes with site links. And as we see, 64% more clicks are attributed to position 1. But all other positions have lower CTR, of course. It's logical because the user knows the brand he's looking for. So become a brand. Easy, right? Search queries with the website user intent are keywords in which the user wants to access a specific previously known target website. And these queries usually appear with site links. While the keywords with site links make up only a small share of all keywords, it is disproportionately much more search volume which accounts for these keywords. So the key takeaways, again, 1 is become a brand. So you increase the direct brand searches. This is also something that Google, not officially, but measures how many people actually search for your brand. And the second takeaway, as we said, is to really focus on your topic, show Google that you are a real expert in that area by really going in depth and searching for all the questions that users usually have regarding that topic, and really try to cover all of them. So, how should your SEO agency calculate your SEO revenue potential correctly? now here are the two formulas, the old one and the new one. And we see the main difference is to get specific and not use averages anymore, especially with the click-through rate and the conversion rate. So this is an example of SEO revenue ignoring user intent and SERP layout. This is the old formula, this is the one like I showed you last time. For men's shoes in the USA, so the intent is to buy. The search volume is 368,000 and the average conversion rate is just 5%, and the lifetime customer value of $725. And as we can see to the right, that would be, if an SEO agency presented this, they could say this is the SEO revenue potential for the first 10 positions if we would rank for men's shoes in the US market. And this is the realistic SEO revenue potential estimate. For the same keyword, as we can see, the SEO revenue potential decreases. Why? Because we have changed, the CTR changed, because the intent to buy means that Google Shopping ads and Google Ads also will appear in the SERPs, thus decreasing the click-through rate for the organic search results. And now here is the dream versus reality comparison. As we can see, a small difference, but for us, I think it is important to win clients' trust by telling them the truth. Since you may be tempted as an agency to oversell the SEO revenue potential to close a deal, you should instead try telling them the truth and see how much trust equity that will create. Thank you very much.